You know, this show is brought to you by a new organization here in the Nebraska area, and I have to tell you, it's pretty exciting to learn about what they are doing. They've caught on to a different business model. The name of the organization is Power Podcast. The Power Podcast organization has figured out how to utilize podcasting. And by the way, we're talking about 10-minute podcasts, not, 45-minute or 90-minute or whatever. And those are great too, but we're talking now about 10-minute podcasts. And here's how it works. Very interesting. Again, think about the business model and think about, by the way, this is B2B. This is a business-to-business solution to a serious problem. And the problem is this, and I'm not exaggerating here, sales closings are way down. Sales development, I don't care what organization you're in, you're a construction company, you're over here in a commercial HVAC organization, whatever it is, but people are not buying quite as readily as they have in the past. Things are slowed down, and a lot of sales managers are really frustrated. They don't know what to do, and the statistics are just not adding up. So the Power Podcast plan can possibly solve that entire problem. Now, here's how it works. We're talking about 3 clusters of podcasts, right? So, and it's a 3-week agenda, so to speak. So if an organization here in the state of Nebraska wants to do something like this, they have to set aside 3 weeks. The first week, by the way, the organization puts together 2 10-minute podcasts, right, about the client company that is hiring them and paying them. But the client company is also paying them to do 2 more podcasts, very next week, week 2. And those 2 podcasts should be done, how do I say this, in an upbeat, flattering fashion for the first company's 2 best customers. Think of your 2 best customers. You're going to flatter them. You're going to thank them. You're going to stroke them. You're going to do all kinds of positive English, podcasting. And you've got, of course, your guy who's going to take care of it, or woman. And they're going to say great things. They're going to do the research and speak highly of your clients. And your clients are going to become more loyal because they didn't ask for this. They're buying their product from you and everything's going fine. And all of a sudden, you've got a podcast that your vendor has produced about you. I'm talking now on behalf of the client, the customer, and thrilled. You can do whatever you want to do with a podcast, but it speaks highly of you and your team and your product line and so on. But now we go to the next level. So we started out with the core client, and then we moved to the next 2 customers. But now the core client has prospects. Every sales department has a group of some people. We'd love to do business with that company, and we can't seem to get a hold of them, but we'd like to work with those people. It seems like they're doing cool stuff, right? So these 2 organizations, we go back into the studio. We do, again, a podcast for one of them, podcast for the other one, 10 minutes of insight about this company. Positive, again, I can't emphasize that enough, speaking highly, respectful, intellectual, interesting, everything about these 2 companies. And you're going to, once again, kind of flatter these companies. And you're going to, without any discussion with them, by the way, this will be kind of a pleasant surprise. And so the core client will say, hey, you might want to take a look at this. You'll find this interesting. And when they listen to a professional podcast, they cannot believe they're going to be I don't want to say overwhelmed, but they're going to certainly be pleased to hear some professional speaking so highly about them. And of course, they have nothing to do with podcasts, don't know anything about it. And here this organization is doing the Power Podcast for them. Now, what that does at that point is obviously lays the groundwork for a respectful dialogue, a back and forth dialectic, positive, upbeat, thank you, how did you know this much about us? Gee, you did all this research for us. Sure, we'd be open to visiting with you down the road. It seems very interesting that you've done this, right? So here we go, 2, 2, and 2. This is the Power Podcast formula, and it really begins to get things going. Employees of the core client are thrilled and kind of excited and that we're involved finally with podcasting. And then you have your two clients over there and everybody's kind of happy. The relationship is good, but now it's becoming great. And then of course we have the prospects. So like we barely know who you guys are, and you've done this for us. We can't believe you did this. Incredible, you're very creative. Why don't you come on over, let's have some coffee, and maybe we need to take a closer look at your product lineup again because we had no idea you would do this for us. All right, so Power Podcast opens new doors, creates loyalty with your existing customers, and get your employees excited, enthused, proud. So that's what Power Podcast is all about, and we're happy to have them as sponsors right here for WowBiz Nebraska. Thanks for listening. This is a very exciting organization. We'll get back to you and tell you how things are going with the Power. Look them up, find Power Podcast, and maybe you'd like to do that kind of thing yourself down the road.